of affairs, isn't it? As I understand it, we're a kind of failed state. We're like the Somalia of England, aren't we? Only we haven't even got the revenue coming in from that piracy. I wonder why Northampton does seem to get so much of the short end of the stick. I mean, if you've noticed, we barely even get a mention on the regional weather maps. It's difficult not to come away with the conclusion that we have offended somebody very badly. And I think that that's because Northampton, historically, is really, really good at producing one thing. And that is not Batman comics. That is not even shoes, although we do make some really good shoes. What Northampton is best at producing is troublemakers. We have got a history of dissent in this town going back almost 1,000 years. I mean, look at some of the culprits for the way that Northampton is perceived. We've got, last century we had Charles Bradlaugh, the gentleman whose statue is up there in Abington Square. He was refused entry to Parliament, I think, on 3 occasions because he was an atheist who wouldn't swear an oath upon the Bible. And we had riots in the market square where armed police were sent out to quell them, and yet eventually we prevailed and he got into Parliament. But we were on somebody's blacklist long before then. I mean, you go back to the 18th century, you've got Philip Doddridge, who built the first hospital outside London, who was an incredible person who reformed the Church of England from a little scrap of dirt down there in the boroughs. Before that, of course, we had Oliver Cromwell. Now, I'm not suggesting that that was in anybody's interests, but you could see why it happened. We'd got a corrupt monarchy who were wasting everybody's money while the middle class were feeling pinched and the poor were starving. I would say that that's pretty much an accurate picture of what's going on today. And look where that got us. We got Oliver Cromwell. We got heads on spikes. Let's hope that it stops before we get that bad. But of course, this goes back before Oliver Cromwell. Before him, we had the Enclosure Act protesters. Captain Pouch, Captain Swing. All right, Captain Pouch did end up with his head on a spike at the end of Sheep Street, but he at least gave it a go. Before that, we had the gunpowder plotters. I think over at Rothwell, over at Rushden. That didn't end well either. But if you really want to take this town back to when we started to get uppity, when we started to get angry about how we were being treated, I'd say 1263. That was when King Henry III had just appointed a council of 48 wealthy burghers. And no, I'm not entirely sure what a burgher is either, but I think we probably all get the general idea. The people of this town said, listen, you've appointed these 48 people to rule over us. If we want to take our cattle to market to sell them, then we pay for that. And if these 48 councillors want to take their cattle to market to sell them, we pay for that as well. They are just creaming this town and they are living in idle luxury. And so the people of this town and a few of the robber barons, they organised a big revolt, I think, down there towards where the castle used to be. And Henry III sent in the troops and they more or less burnt the town to the ground. And it's probably a coincidence, but although the number has gone up and down over the years, we still have 48 councillors, I believe, who are governing this town and are obviously bringing it to the point where it's a kind of a social black hole, where it is completely on its knees And I would remind people that this is the absolute centre of the country. If the centre of something falls apart, everything else will follow. So for the rest of the world out there looking at what's happening to Northampton, don't think that this isn't going to happen to you. We all have to stand together. We all have to stand up against this stuff now, and to remind the council of this town what the people of this town are really, really good at. So let's see some of that. Take care of yourself.
So there you have it, folks. Alan Moore